Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Bull. Welcome to the August 12th Landing Commission meeting. As is our tradition, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of quick items on the agenda, and then we are going to take up the plan for the Hicks Bridge landing. I have an update about sign installation. The sign maker is still not returning my calls. They are apparently not yet made, although I'm not sure about that. It had occurred to me, given that item 6, what I'm calling West Hicks Bridge, that the sign Hicks Bridge Landing was originally designed for West Hicks Bridge, and that we might want to have a separate sign delineating the two, even though permits are going to be required. The same landing permit for Hicks Bridge will work for West Hicks Bridge. Hicks Bridge, if people aren't clear or haven't been to all of our meetings, is the little grassy area just west of the bridge looking north, which has now been approved by the police department, and we are working with the highway department to get granite posts and parking head stops there. It'll create about 7 to 9 parking places, including a couple of handicap parking places. So that will add to the parking for vehicles for people using the Hicks Bridge landing on the other side of the bridge, and it's also an extraordinarily beautiful spot for anyone to sit and have a sandwich. There will be a picnic bench there. So we can look forward to that in the news. Maybe that'll be installed in the next 3 weeks. So it had occurred to me to consider a separate sign there that says West Hicks Bridge. And I just want people to be thinking about that, whether that's, in other words, there would also be the Hicks Bridge landing sign on the east side. And I don't think we need to call that Hicks Bridge East. Or we could call it, it needs to be called the landing just so that there's clarity about landing permits, even though there's no way to get down into the water there.
So,
That's strictly for parking, Jeff.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be a rock climber, and the water's like 13 inches deep at high tide there. So it's sort of useless, but it's additional parking.
so you would require the selectmen's Hicks Bridge landing permit to park at Hicks Bridge West Landing, even though
Yes.
Hicks Bridge West Landing is a landing commission territory
Correct.
and Hicks Bridge is selectmen's territory.
Right, yes. Yeah, because there's been historic concern about having enough parking at the landing for Westport residents to fish from the bridge, to use the landing for whatever purpose, and concern that if we don't do that, it'll fill up rapidly with people who are from out of town. And the police are fine with writing tickets there. We don't absolutely have to decide that today, but do you have an initial reaction?
I think a sign is, my own thought is the sign is a good idea, just so people now know that it's, oh, this is a place we can stop.
Right.
The selectmen require the permit for Hicks Bridge East because they have control of that land. And so where we have control of the other land, is that legally possible? I mean, it's fine with me.
Yep,
Is
it
it
is
just legally
legally
possible?
possible. Similar thing was done with the landing across the road from the life-saving station. And
What do we call that, Horseneck Point?
right, and also we do own a significant chunk of land on the east side, basically running we own basically the beach and half the entranceway. It's just that administratively, some time ago, the whole thing, for a variety of legal reasons, was moved to the select board.
Oh, okay, so they've taken over control of that piece of landing commission land.
I don't.
The
I'm
same
not
way that we're
clear-
taking,
I'm not clear that it got that far. I just know it had something to do with when the bridge was rebuilt, so this was 20 years ago, and my guess is it was not well documented, so who knows? But we could also just have two signs. They could both say Hicksbridge Landing.
Yeah, I think right now the sign at Hicks Bridge, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it says permit required. It doesn't say what permit's required, and so people are forever pulling in with their beach pass thinking that they're good to go.
Again, there will be a separate sign
Say,
for Hicksbridge
Hicks
West.
Bridge landing
that
permit
will say,
required.
well, it'll be a separate sign because those are expensive signs. A white sign made by the highway department that likely has a high disappearing rate will say, landing permit required. It will say park only at head stops. It'll say a number of things.
Okay.
Do you have any opinion about having two of the same Hicksbridge Landing signs or Hicksbridge West Landing?
I think it might be good to delineate, to have it West Landing, to have that separation just for clarity. And I'm also, my concern also was whether or not the permit would be required, and not concern, and signage about that. And that it's the same permit, it's not yet another
Right.
permit that people have. But, I don't know, it just might be good to have that clarity that that's the West Landing and that there's regular Hicks, because I think when you say Hicksbridge, they don't think of that little piece of
Right.
land over there.
Right,
Most people don't know that's public land.
Yeah,
right.
right.
I suspect the police would prefer the west landing.
Yeah.
If they're going to ticket people. Might give them a little bit of clarity when the ticket finds its way back.
Mhm.
Just a thought.
Any thoughts from our liaison with the select board, Mr. Brewer?
Yeah, I think what you have in front of us, the one on the east should be Hicksbridge Landing. I wouldn't call it east, that's Hicksbridge Landing. Then there's Hicksbridge West. People will understand that.
Yeah.
They're two different landings, but they're connected in some
Right.
administrative way, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that to me makes sense.
Good. Can I just have a,
Motion?
yes,
I would motion that we,
cost of
we,
additional,
right, we provide signs like this, or one delineating West Landing and the other just landing where you can actually put a boat in water.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chase, you don't actually have a vote on this commission.
I don't.
No.
You have the right to remain silent, however.
I have a hard time being silent there.
It's all right. No, it's okay. You're new, and it's great to have you here, believe me. Great to have you here. All right, moving right
And I
along.
think we have a vacancy right now, don't we? If you want another
No.
evening meeting.
No, everybody's here.
Boy, I gotta
No.
think about that.
We don't, we're full now?
Yeah, Brenda's here, and the
Okay.
treasurer's out of
Oh,
town
I take
today.
that back. Not right now.
Yep. Head wall repair, there were stairs that had fallen apart, and we have contracted with a stonemason, and he has actually closed off the stairway, made it a continuous wall, which seemed better as far as long-term durability and liability. So that is done. And we thank the stonemason. We are on to our biggest item, and I think we have Ryan DuPont.
Yeah, Susan wants to join, so I don't know if he's been in or not.
How do we do that?
Paul was over here.
That's
Okay.
looking good.
Guess it's on now, right.
Hello, Ryan. Ryan? Are you muted? Oh, he's flashing.
Oh.
And there is Ryan. Great, thank you for joining us. Ryan, we just moved into item 4, our Hicksbridge Landing decision and recommendation. Most of us are looking at my document that I sent you a copy of, where I extended the north-south landing with a green marker. Remember that primitive 8.5 by 14 I sent you? You're looking. Anyhow, just to bring Mr. Chase up to date and all, recent attempts to open up the old exit have failed. So I want this board, this commission, to consider what do we want to do as far as moving ahead. My senses are options, because there's something been in the press about, well, there is eminent domain. My understanding is that that's a pretty lengthy process. It would have to go to town meeting, we would have to spend money, and the town meeting might not approve it. And then we're another year away from starting this process. In a recent meeting with the town safety officer, when he looked again at the sight lines, he felt that while one exit and entrance and exit will be somewhat congested, that in some ways it was safer than the old exit, except for the congestion issue, because the sight lines are better. And so we've gotten this far. I don't know if there's any, we'll have to see what the planning board says. We'll have to see what the select board says about whether they want to pursue a different option. This ends up being a planning board decision, whom I'm meeting with tonight at 6 o'clock, and then eventually they will make a recommendation to the select board. And then we will start permitting. And my understanding, Ryan, with how this goes is this can still be altered some as we go through the approval process with the planning board, with the select board.
Conservation,
With conservation. If,
DEP,
for example,
Army
they
Corps.
want the boat ramp a little narrower so there's less cement in the river, we could make it a little narrower or a little wider or whatever. My sense is that's sort of how this goes. We just need to give Ryan a go-ahead to flesh out the drawings, so we will have something to start the permitting process with. Is that kind of how this goes, Ryan? Because you are the professional.
Yeah, generally speaking, through the permitting process,
Could you talk louder?
sure. Let's see. Generally speaking, through the permitting process, agencies that have jurisdiction will, ask for revisions, apply conditions, or whatever, have their input, so that things would probably change. Hopefully just slightly, but things typically do change throughout the permitting process.
Okay. Looking at the plan, you can see that green section that I added, Ryan. So, and that's about the same, that ends up being the same amount of footage, actually about 4 feet more than we currently have running north-south, because big flash, the new docks, the new floating docks are arriving on Friday, and we have specified them to be a little bit longer. So we will get those dimensions to you at some point.
Okay.
And I would expect similarly the issue of how far the east-west extension will have some to do with when we do a final check on low tide to make sure we're out deep enough to avoid standoffs, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's the intent is that anything that grounds out would land on the boat ramp itself, and then as we advance out into deeper water, even at low tide, the floats would still have the required clearance.
Great. And when I counted up here, I got 5 vehicle parking spaces and 2 handicap spaces and 32 trailer spaces. I'm not sure I counted all that correctly, but this, something new, Ryan, we're adding soon 6 to 8 vehicle spaces on the other side of Hicks Bridge to sort of fill in some of what we are losing here. Because I think the plan that included the second exit, the east exit, that had more vehicle parking because we parked up along the road. So we are sort of supplementing that, so we're actually ending up with close to the same amount of parking. Could you talk a little bit about the width, actual width of the ramp? And why, is that just a standard width for a 1 vehicle wide boat ramp?
Yeah, so the existing boat ramp is substandard dimensions for modern design. We followed the state's organization for boating, which produces a set of guidance and standard widths for ramps and slopes, and that's what this ramp has been designed to meet.
Okay. And the floating docks that are on the north side, will those belong, similarly not ground out, is that correct?
Correct, yeah, they're designed in the same manner as the south side. We're on low tide. The docks that would ground out will land on the concrete apron of the ramp. And then as we advance out into the water, there'll be enough water depth at low tide to avoid having stops or cables or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And just for the public to know, this, part of the effort here is to stop stormwater runoff because the driveway, the parking area for the last 60 years, if not the last 100 years, when there's a big storm, the parking lot washes into the river such that it's even created small sandbars south of the boat ramp. And so that's one of the things we're trying to avoid, along with raising the height of the boat ramp and the landing itself in the western area so that this will help us through, I'm not sure how many years of sea level increase, that it will be less likely to flood in the next couple of decades. Does anybody have questions about this?
Is this a reasonable turning radius to come out of the ramp? Typically, cars or trucks will back down in, put the boat in, take the boat out, go out and park. That's no problem. But when they come out and get buttoned up, is there room to really turn a truck and a trailer around between the trailer parking spaces?
Yes, so we looked at vehicle turning radii for the ramp, and they will be able to maneuver in the parking lot. It is tight. The traffic flow was much better when we looked at having a second exit.
Yeah.
But there is enough room for the vehicles to maneuver, though it will be tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It almost looks like as you exit, many people may choose to do basically a full loop and go around and exit. Because it may.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. What's going to have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Any limits on the size of the trailers that can access this? Tandem trailer is much bigger than a single axle.
There was talk about limiting or identifying certain parking spaces for the longer tandem trailers, but we really didn't get that far that I remember. These are all 40 feet. Does that work for a tandem trailer, Ryan?
So, yeah, I mean the 40-foot width will handle most of the vessels that we understood would be launched off of this boat ramp. If somebody wanted to launch a very large boat, there would be space issues. You know, if somebody had like a 40-foot boat, I think they'd have trouble in here.
So, I'm not even, it had occurred to me to go down to the state boat ramp because some of those work for tandem trailers and some don't, correct?
One side is for single axle, the other side is for tandem, although they violate that often. I'm just curious, Ryan, when you did your radii calculations, what size trailer did you use?
I think we were looking at single axles there. I have to double check that, but I think this is set up on single axle.
Yeah. It does, just looking at this, it seems that there's 5 trailer spaces on the northeast corner under the word swale, that if we want to identify those as double axle trailers, we could, that those would be the least obstructing to other people.
Yeah, just looking at those lengths, 2 of the boats that use this landing on a regular basis are, their boat and trailer is a little over 40 feet long, and then you put a 20-foot truck in front of that. I bet you we're going to have a little trouble turning those boats in a radius there, but we just have to work with that. One of my main concerns is right now, race training on a Thursday or a Tuesday afternoon, the rowing group that rows out of here has around 27 cars parked there. And so they're going to need more than the, how many vehicle parking spaces was it?
There's 5 plus 2
10.
handicapped and 6 on the other side.
7 on this side and 6 on the other side. So we're short a few parking spaces. And even in the morning now, when they come in, they'll quite often fill up all the closest to the landing parking spaces. I think that nobody's looking for their steps. They're getting ready to row. They're not worried about steps. So I have, and this is for a selectman, I think, to consider, is at least, and typically in the morning we'll only have the very most 4 or 5 trailers there. And so I think 4 or 5 parking spaces should be dedicated, no car parking. And the other parking spaces could be cars or trailers. Because we have more cars using the landing than we do cars and trucks and trailers or cars and trailers. So that's just something that I think, and I feel bad when those close parking spaces that the trucks like to use are taken up by cars that could be parked anywhere. And so, you know, a clear marking to say that those are trailer-only spots so that cars don't park there and they're always available for the, at most 4 or 5 cars that come on a regular basis. I think would be a good gesture and something I would suggest consideration of. That we don't need to decide that for permitting and things, I know, but just want to put that out there. And the other thing would be to make sure vegetation is cleared as you come out of the entrance and exit now ramp. You have to get your nose of your car out just slightly into the road to be able to see who's coming towards the east from the west. But it's important that the vegetation stay cleared to the east side of that ramp because the locust that grows up on a regular basis there has to be trimmed a couple times a year or you lose visibility from the east as you're exiting, and that is a dangerous situation. But I agree, I think that with good clearance, and this is actually a little wider, Ryan, than the current exit ramp?
Yes, yeah, the exit ramp will need to be widened in order to
Quite a bit wider.
regulations to get
Yeah.
two-way
Yeah,
traffic.
because right now, if we're leaving the landing and we see a truck coming across Hicks Bridge, we wait down at the entrance. Luckily, if the truck or the boat and the T-top or whatever is high enough, we can see it coming across the bridge and just wait down at the bottom because the swing radius is not adequate to accommodate a car right up at the top of the ramp and a truck and trailer coming in that direction.
About that point, I would add, if I can interrupt for a second, for all the years that this landing was used until 2002, there was only one entrance exit. That the east exit was built in 2002 when the bridge was rebuilt and the entrance was closed completely. So And now we've been using it without being widened, without a lot of brush control. I agree it's not ideal, but we have survived, although people do drive faster than they used to. So hopefully people will pay attention. We can do something about signage, tell people trailers entering, caution. And I would say that there'll be, you know, when and if this ever gets built, certainly the selectmen will have some decisions, input from the public about to what extent, if cars are going to park in trailer spaces, do they need to be doubling up, for example? That was a solution we looked at in other parts of town. Because if you're going out at the same time with a group of 5 or 6 people, you could use 3 trailer spaces instead of 6. But that, it'll also depend on how much usage there is and what the public requires. And we're easily 3 years away from those decisions.
Yeah. I do have another question for Bill. With this proposed, with the north-south dock heading south of the current landing as opposed to the current north, there's a boat that's moored probably right about off the end of the green that Jeff shows on the extension of that. Is that possible to have that boat moved a little bit? Okay. That's, you know, he's been there for a number of years. I don't know how many years, but a number of years. But
We're not talking about displacing it, we're just talking about
yeah,
moving it.
okay,
Yep.
good. Because that becomes that would become an obstacle for boats, especially rowboats, leaving this dock layout. I like this dock layout because it puts you further from the Hicks Bridge, and I think that's good for motorboats that don't really run as well as they thought they were going to run in the spring when they start them up and they conk out a little bit off the dock. But
I would also say that it's going to be, with this layout, you can use the east side of the dock too. I mean, with the old layout, people hardly ever use the east side.
right, because of the location of the post, and I do notice one post there.
Yeah, yeah,
But if that post is strategically located, it's
right.
it could be okay.
We'll have to work with Ryan on how many posts we really need. We're a little bit piling adverse, but that's something we can talk about down the road.
Yeah, we can try to figure out which side is more beneficial to place the piles onto the dock system for the users.
Is that something that requires you to be seeing how much current there really is, or some video of when there is a little bit of chop running through there with current? What would help?
Well, I mean, so the number of piles is pretty standard based on the dock layout. We can put the piles on one side of the dock or the other, and that can sort of be up to whatever is going to be most beneficial to the end users of the dock. So
Okay.
look for your feedback as to which side you want the piles placed on.
All right, good.
I guess another question with the orientation of the north-south portion of the dock running to the south of the landing. Is there any concern with our prevailing southwest wind of storm water piling up on the inside of that, or does that just float underneath the dock and it's really no concern?
Yeah, the dock should move up and down to accommodate that.
Yeah, not an issue. Okay, good.
Brian, did you do any studies on current velocity at the bridge?
We have not.
Those may be available through the multiple bridge reconstruction efforts that have happened. So I'm not sure who in town keeps those records, but I know there was, over the years, multiple attempts at fixing Hicks Bridge. And there was a major Army Corps study about dredging just north of the bridge, and fish that were in there and all kinds of things. So I expect that data exists someplace.
Yeah, I think there was a comparison, because with the concern of taking the rock out from underneath the majority of the bridge, that there was some assessment of that. I'm pretty sure that, and maybe the watershed might be a copy of it anyway, but probably someone in town too. would Marine Services be the one that would hold that?
No, actually, I think Mike Sullivan did a study on that, not all that long ago. He may have
But
something,
you
I
know
was
it's
just looking
available,
for
yeah.
something more intimate than what you would get through NOAA
Mhm.
tide current tables.
Yeah.
Well, we could get a piece of rope and a float and go down there, right? And toss it in.
Old school stuff still works, Jeff.
Get out my lot and knot line. Any other reactions, questions for Ryan? Hearing none.
Oh, could I,
Yes, sir.
so the depth of the water west of that north-south section, Ryan, have you sounded any of that?
Yes, we have.
So
We
at
did
mean,
a number of soundings.
so at mean low water, what would we expect to have alongside that section?
Let's see, so the section that runs north to is so you're about -6 is the elevation there, and the high tide elevation is at 1. So you have about 7 feet on high tide, and looks like at low tide you have about 5 feet.
So presumably you'd have almost the same depth on the east side of that north-south section.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And are you going to pursue getting rid of some of the parking lot that's found its way into the river there, or not, it's not really necessary, so make it a little easier to permit it?
Yeah, we don't think that's necessary where your dock is. I mean, if there's a situation where we thought we had a low water condition, you could look at dredging, but we don't think that that's necessary for this project.
Oh, good.
Yep. And there's also grasses growing there, so I'm sure the Conservation Commission would be happy if we don't disturb anything.
Yes, dredging has its own set of permitting
Right.
concerns that we can avoid by not dredging. That opens up a whole new thing with the Army Corps and Conservation Commission.
Good.
Any other questions? Hearing none.
So our next step would be to pass this to planning board or planning board, I think already has it on their agenda. And you say you're going to.
Our next step would be if someone wants to make a motion to approve this version of the plan, so I can take it to the planning board.
With your additional.
Yes.
So I motion that we move this along with a recommendation for consideration to whoever else needs to see it, planning board and selectmen at least, and all the permitting for Ryan to do. I motion that we do so.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we move ahead with this design. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes. Great.
37.
I think, Ryan, we are pretty much done with you. One thing before we let you in, the new floats are arriving on Friday. So I will be able to get some dimensions on those to you. And once we hear from the planning board, I will get together with you about what you need from us to start doing your next version.
Excellent.
Thank you for showing up today.
Thank you, Ryan.
Appreciate
All
your
right.
input.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Jeff, can I ask one clarification? The next step for this design is planning board
Yes.
and then select board? They
Yes.
put it on, okay.
Item 5 on our agenda is the treasurer's report, and the treasurer had to be away from the building today, so we will hear from her next time. Item 6, as I've said already a couple of times, we have approval to go ahead with the West Hicksbridge Landing. So I will be trying to schedule time with the highway department to install some granite posts and wheel stops so that the public can start using that.
And that's just going to be the native gravel that's there. We're not going to be paving or,
We are going to be, there's a bit of a berm right at the edge of the road, so that will be scraped away or maybe respread over actual entrance, but we're going to basically be driving on what is grass. It feels pretty firm, and we're going to see how it goes. Our hope is to avoid having to put down gravel. There will be a chain between the granite posts, so in mud season, we will lock it up so that it doesn't get wrecked. I was expecting to actually chain it at night, but the police department thought that was a mistake. They thought that it wasn't worth the time to lock and unlock it. They suggested just go with it the way it is and see how it goes. That's our hope. No cost. I will say also to the public that these new floats that are arriving on Friday are being installed at absolutely no cost to the town of Westport, and I hope they enjoy them. They should last 35 years or so.
how long do we expect installation to take?
All day. He
One
will
day?
be arriving at around 10 o'clock. He will require no help from the highway department. He's happy to have them come watch. He will not need the bill to show up with a boat. They will be taking out the old ones themselves. They will put the new ones in themselves.
And
They-
can we get back our cleats that we cleated the
If you
docks
send me a
up?
note, yes,
Okay.
we can.
Okay.
And also, I'll probably, if you or someone else can be there, if you would like them to install those hand railings, they may know better where the firmest places are to put those
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
So it might be
We would
good
go with
if
their-
one of you came
Okay.
at about noon or 1 o'clock or something. And they're going to stack up all the old, if their little machine can stack up all the old floats, they will do that at the far east end of the landing for storage until Bill figures out if he can repurpose those someplace else or go
Oh,
off
okay.
to
You might
the
want the cleats.
or go off to the highway department for a winter project, breaking them up and disposing. So yeah,
They'll be there.
yep. That's what we know about that.
Jeff, what again was when will this be available to the public to use? The west,
Landing,
the West Hicks Bridge landing.
when will that be available?
Yeah,
As soon as I can get the highway department to do the installation that's required.
okay.
I hope in the next couple of weeks.
The select board didn't weigh in on this, that's a different, they don't own that, the town doesn't own that, right?
Correct. But I believe it may be on your agenda or in your notes because the safety officer did review it with me, and he was going to send a note to you, to the select board, acknowledging that he felt that this was a workable design.
And further to that, this is a public landing, there's no fee for going there? Or is it,
You have to have a sticker. You have to have a Hicksbridge landing sticker.
Hicks Bridge landing sticker?
Yes.
I think that's $30. No senior discount.
We're all seniors at this point.
$30?
I think it's 30 this year,
Yeah.
yeah. Right.
Is that extraordinarily competitive with other things of this kind? Selectmen always ask this question, you know?
I have not, I think the town's probably going to be considering fee increases all over the place. But
Many
I don't know,
of
that's really
the,
not anything I've done research on.
Just on this, Emmett Trip Landing, for example, is public to the world, basically, right?
Currently, yes,
And this is not.
correct.
Explain why, for the benefit of all of us.
Because it is seen as overflow parking on some level for the Hicksbridge Landing, because we've lost some parking there. And historically, the people of Westport have been concerned about the access to fishing from the bridge, fishing from the shore, and people from out of town using that whole area of town. And so it was important to the people of Westport in general that this continued to be a Westport facility.
So that's been established before.
Yes.
In other words, that was not open to the public at large previously. I mean, it wasn't,
Well,
nobody
there
was
was-
using it anyway, but,
Basically, to understand this, the shoreline all over Massachusetts is open to the public. Parking is not open to the public. So there, I mean, there's supposed to be a section all along the Westport River where the public can actually use. And
Between low and high tide.
yeah, and so basically, access to the water is a public right in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth owns the water, and but parking is something that can be regulated.
and that permit is a parking permit, basically.
Yes.
So somebody could get dropped off there and
Yep.
get picked up later and
And
ride a bike.
that already happens.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, people will park up at the Historical Society and walk down and fish from the bridge.
Okay, those are my
Happens.
questions that
Yep.
I get from people.
Moving on, item 7, I'm beaten to death. We're getting new floats on Friday. Hope people enjoy them. No more splinters. We splurged and got no splinter decking for them. I'm not sure we have minutes from the previous meeting.
I took notes, but nobody asked me to do minutes, so I didn't.
So we will review your
I can-
notes.
Okay.
Next month.
I'll neaten up my notes, okay.
Is there any other business not anticipated at time of posting? I would say again that I'm very happy to have Harbor Master Bill Chase in the audience.
And I would open
on
it up
camera.
to, open it up to Harbor Master Chase if he has any questions,
Mhm.
concerns, or whatever about any of the landings, any issues, or just to,
Well, just looking at this from a mariner's eye, if you will, knowing the current essentially runs parallel to the dock, makes it an easy dock to approach. And having enough depth of water on the inside of that north-south section gives a boater a spot to kind of get out of the way. This is a single ramp, obviously. I think my comments in general, and this is very positive, this is a huge improvement for the landing. My concern is the driveway in and out. That is dangerous. I don't care who you are or how good you drive. That's a tough spot to get out of. Gives me pause. And I'm a little bit more cautious as a driver these days, so you gotta give me a little bit for that. But if I were sitting in Jeff's chair, I think my focus, after having been through the dock side of it, checking that box, would be to focus on the safety issue of getting in and out of it. But I think all in all, this looks wonderful.
I mean, we may even, looking ahead, go back to the safety officer and find out what more we can do besides signage. Might be a little blinking yellow light there. I'm not sure what, but we'll just have to see as time goes on. And, I mean, this is basically, have used for the last 2 years a worse version of this. So people are somewhat getting used to it. But I agree, that's not ideal.
Because any attempt to widen what's there, we'd lose
No,
spaces.
we are widening, the existing entrance will be widened.
Yeah, but, I mean, I understand your concern. I think with people with trailers, I mean, it's, even, how wide is it gonna be?
27.25.
Yeah, it'll be about 10 feet wider than it currently is.
Yeah. Still.
I mean, you're taking a boat on a trailer up an incline, turning out into the flow of traffic. It takes a little while to get that trailer out and into lane.
Absolutely.
those seconds, I think, would be critical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not ideal. I mean, it is what's currently going on, and it will be better than that, and we will have to just see as time goes on, you know, what we can do to,
But there's no way to do anything, any sort of modification, like,
the reality of building a second exit ramp
unrealistic.
Because of the
Was-
elevation.
Yeah,
because of
that's
the
what I was
elevation.
thinking.
Just-
was almost, we would lose about a third of the parking
That's,
spaces,
yeah,
and it would be at least another $200,000.
right.
Is there any argument to make it wider than what you proposed? Or is that unnecessary?
That will certainly could come up in further conversation with Ryan. You know, we haven't.
Has the safety officer seen this?
Yep. And I'm sure he will see it again and will be asked to weigh in a more thorough way. I mean, it would probably be worth even staking out up there, you know, where this is and all.
Yeah, 10 feet is considerable if it's
Yep.
going to be 10 feet wider. Yeah, I think there's one version of the plan that shows the old, and this one's just too light, too light on the.
Yeah. I do know also there are motion-activated sensors I've seen in some places where if someone is pulling into or either coming in or out, there could be like a yellow blinking light on the road that starts blinking, you know, way up the hill. Because the real problem is people coming down the hill at speed. And so if suddenly there's a light that starts blinking, or even maybe some digital notice like trailers entering, slow down or something.
Good. Next meeting date?
Next meeting date. I left my phone, so I don't have a calendar.
We're looking about 4 weeks.
Sure.
So you don't need me Friday for the float.
We do not need you, but you're,
If that changes, you've got my.
yeah, we not need you. I would, because the floats, if not that day, but eventually will get stacked up, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about reusing them, to go and look at the ones
Yeah.
that you might want. Some are better than others. So you might want to take a can of spray paint or something and put a green zero or something on the ones that you like, so that it's, because they'll get stacked up and it'll be hard to figure out down the road.
And thank you, I think you must have been involved in putting them back together after someone decided they should take the pin out.
Yeah, when I was alerted to this, Jeff sent me a picture. I sent Andrew Manchester to look at that, along with Jim Perry. I never did get a finished picture of their repair job, but
They
they said
put
it
it
was
back
good.
together.
Jeff alluded to
Put
the
it back
fact that it was
together.
okay, so we do respond as quick as we can to stuff like this. When I first looked at it, and I saw all the rowers just coming off the river, it was a clear and present danger.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first morning when we found it, it was probably a little over a foot, maybe as much as 18 inches apart, and we have some small line I had in the trunk of my car, and we put it together, but we couldn't get it anywhere near close enough to get the pin in. And I found the cotter pin on the other dock,
Oh, okay.
so it was taken out. It didn't fall out, up, you have to jump up, come out.
Oh, one thing to consider, Bill, as far as them getting stacked, the northernmost float has a, I don't know if it's stainless or galvanized railing at the end, because those floats were a hand-me-down from the state boat ramp 20-something years ago. We don't expect to reinstall that, but if that's useful to somewhere else in town, you should just be thinking about that.
How about where the Boy Scout was going to do the railing along the head of Westport Landing?
No.
It's really in really good shape. It's old galvanizing, the stuff that really lasts.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
decent if it has a place to be used.
All right, did you find a meeting date?
September
We-
9th.
We want
It's
to go
4
about
weeks.
4 weeks?
We might not
Oh,
have
you
a
might not.
quorum because I'm going to be
You're gonna be-
out of town still, so we're going to go to the
16?
next week.
16?
16?
Yep. September 16th, 4 PM here.
And by then, do you think it will have worked its way through selectmen and planning board? You're going to planning board tonight with it tonight?
I hope so.
Do you
Yeah.
think that's something that would fit on your agenda in the next 3 weeks or so?
Unfortunately, this is one of the 2 or 3 times in the year when we skip a meeting. Otherwise, there'd be a meeting on Labor Day. So probably it's going to be tough to pull off. We've got only one meeting left before that. I call it the hiatus.
Yeah.
We meet on the following Monday after Labor Day. So it's just, it still can get done.
Yeah,
We've already been working on this, what, 2.5 years or 3 years? Oh, maybe more, maybe almost 4 years, so what's
Yeah.
another week or two?
Well, the select board, I don't think would be holding it up. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
I think for people to be aware, the cost of building this is likely above $1 million. It's going to take a while to do the fundraising because we're not going to be spending out of the town budget for this. And those construction costs keep going up 5 to 10% a year. I mean, marine construction is just jumping in expense. So it's something we want to move ahead with because one of the primary funding mechanisms has cutoff dates. So I'm not sure when your next meeting is.
well, our next meeting is next Monday.
So is it too late to get on that agenda? Maybe not.
No, it's not.
Ooh,
You have until,
boy.
I think Wednesday PM.
okay.
You have to move on it quickly, or
I can
call
do
Tim
that.
Harden.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to post it until Thursday.
right.
They-
I will speak with him leaving this room. Great.
He just left.
Yeah. We have a motion to adjourn, please.
Move that we adjourn? the meeting?
I second. Oh, no.
All in favor of adjourning? Aye.
If I could vote, I would have voted aye for that motion.